My wife texted me the cruelest sentence I had ever read while my mother was lying in a hospital bed. I was sitting under a flickering light in the ER waiting room, holding a paper cup of coffee that had gone cold 20 minutes earlier. My sister Audra was beside me with her nurse badge still clipped to her sweater, one hand pressed against her mouth, trying not to cry. I had called Kendra 17 times. 17. Not because I wanted to check where she was, not because I was jealous, not because I could not survive one weekend without her. Because my mother had fallen down the back steps, hit her head, and been taken in by ambulance. I sent one message. Mom's in the ER. I need you. For almost an hour, nothing. The little typing bubble never appeared. My calls went straight to voicemail. Audra texted her too. Still nothing. Finally, at 1:14 in the morning, my phone buzzed. Kendra wrote, "I can't keep being your emotional emergency contact. Handle something without me for once." I read it once. I read it twice. The words blurred at the edges, but not because I was crying. Something inside me just went quiet, like a door had shut somewhere deep in my chest. Audra leaned over and saw the message before I could hide it. She whispered, "Owen." I turned my phone face down on my knee. "She's just stressed," I said, because after 9 years of marriage, covering for Kendra had become a reflex. Audra did not argue. She only looked at me with that tired, sad look people give you when they know you are lying to protect the person hurting you. That was the night I stopped calling my wife. And 48 hours later, I packed every piece of her married life into labeled boxes and had it delivered to the man she thought she was hiding with. The note on top had only 2 words. Keep her. But I need to explain how we got there. Kendra and I had been married 9 years. From the outside, we looked steady. We lived in a polished neighborhood outside Charlotte, North Carolina, where the lawns were trimmed, the porches were clean, and people waved like they actually knew you. Kendra was a high-end bridal stylist. She worked with brides who spent more on flowers than some families spent on used cars. She knew the best venues, the best photographers, the best cocktail menus, the best ways to walk into a room and make everyone turn. I worked in commercial property leasing. It was not flashy, but it was solid. Restaurants, event spaces, lounges, old brick buildings turned into expensive little dreams. I handled leases, renewals, tenant problems, inspections, all the stuff people never noticed unless something went wrong. For years, I thought our differences balanced us. She was bright. I was steady. She liked rooms full of people. I liked quiet dinners and early mornings. She could sell a bride on a veil in 5 minutes. I could read a lease clause and spot a problem before it cost somebody $50,000. But during the last year, the things she used to call stable became boring. The things she used to call reliable became controlling. If I asked what time she would be home, she sighed like I had put a tracker on her car. If I asked about a new client dinner, she said, "Do you need a signed report too?" If I came home tired, she said, "You are always tired, Owen." It is like being married to a clock. That one stuck with me. A clock. Useful, predictable, easy to ignore unless it stopped working. One Friday afternoon, Kendra walked into the kitchen wearing a soft gray travel set and carrying a small overnight bag. "I need space," she said. I was standing by the sink, rinsing a mug. What kind of space? The kind where you don't ask questions before I even leave. I turned off the water. I asked one question. She smiled without warmth. Exactly. She told me she was driving to Raleigh to stay with her stylist friend Talia. She said the marriage was suffocating her. She said I had made everything heavy. I remember staring at the overnight bag. It was small. Too small for a weekend away, unless she had packed very carefully. Or unless most of what she needed was already somewhere else. "Are we talking about a break?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "Don't make it dramatic." "Kendra, you just said our marriage is suffocating you." I said I need space. That does not mean I need a courtroom. I swallowed that, like I swallowed most things. Before she left, she stood in the doorway and said, "And please do not track me like a parole officer. I've never tracked you. You do it emotionally." I almost laughed because I had no idea what that meant, but her face was so serious that I said nothing. 5 minutes after she drove away, my phone buzzed. Don't call unless someone died. I stared at that text for a long time. It was cruel, but I told myself she was angry. I told myself people said ugly things when they felt trapped. I told myself marriage meant giving grace. That night, my sister called me from the hospital. Our mother had fallen. By the time I got there, Audra was already in nurse mode. Calm voice, fast steps, tight jaw. Our mother was awake but confused, with a bandage near her hairline and bruises blooming on one arm. She keeps asking for Dad, Audra said quietly. Our father had been gone for 6 years. That was when I called Kendra the first time. No answer. I called again after the CT scan. No answer. I texted her from the hallway. Mom fell. We're at the hospital. Please call me. Nothing. Audra texted too. Kendra, it's Audra. This is serious. Owen needs you. Nothing. Every hour made the silence feel heavier. Not just because she was gone. Because she knew. She had to know something was wrong. Nobody calls 17 times over a small thing. At midnight, I tried once more. Voicemail. At 1:14, she finally answered with that message. I can't keep being your emotional emergency contact. Handle something without me for once. Audra wanted to call her from her own phone. I stopped her. No, I said. Why are you protecting her? I'm not. But I was. The next day, my mother was moved upstairs for observation. Audra stayed with her while I went downstairs to get coffee. My shirt smelled like hospital air. My eyes burned. My phone was at 9%. That was when I saw the Instagram story. It was not Kendra's page. It belonged to a bartender I recognized from a vendor event months earlier. The clip was only 3 seconds long. A rooftop table. 2 wine glasses. Someone laughing off camera. A woman's wrist resting near a white plate. A gold bracelet. Kendra's bracelet. I knew it because I bought it for our 7th anniversary. A thin gold chain with a small emerald charm because green had always been her color. For a second, I thought maybe I was wrong. So I paused the story. Zoomed in. The bracelet was there. But that was not the part that made my stomach tighten. Behind the table was a green tile wall with uneven handmade edges. I had seen that wall before. I had stood in front of it during a tenant walkthrough. The Juniper Room. A small upscale event space and cocktail lounge in South End. It sat inside a renovated brick building managed by my firm. Kendra was not in Raleigh. She was in Charlotte. And she was not alone. I saved the story before it disappeared. My thumb hovered over Kendra's name. For 1 second, the old part of me wanted to call her, demand answers, hear her voice, give her one more chance to explain it away. But I looked through the glass wall into my mother's room. Audra was helping her drink water with a straw, moving slowly, so she would not hurt her neck. I put the phone back in my pocket. Kendra texted me around 9 the next morning. Still at Talia's. Don't make this weird. That was when my hurt started changing shape. It did not become rage. Rage would have been easier. Rage burns hot and burns out. This was colder. I drove home to shower, changed clothes, and went by my office before returning to the hospital. Our operations director, Marin Shaw, was already there. Late 40s, sharp eyes, calm voice, the kind of woman who could make a room behave without raising her hand. She looked up from her desk. You look awful. My mom's in the hospital. Her face softened. I'm sorry. What do you need? I almost said nothing. Instead, I asked, does the Juniper Room have any current lease issues? Marin leaned back slowly. Why? Just checking something. She studied me for a moment. Marin had mentored me for years. She knew the difference between work curiosity and personal trouble. We had an inspection note last month, she said. Unauthorized residential use upstairs. My mouth went dry. Upstairs? There's a restricted storage unit above the lounge, not permitted for living use. Maintenance log, personal bedding, clothes rack, shower items. Bo Harlan claimed he sometimes stayed late after events. Bo Harlan. Owner of the Juniper Room. Early 30s, charming, always wore expensive boots, always acted like rules were suggestions that could be softened with a smile. I had met him twice. Kendra had met him more than twice. Marin opened the lease file on her screen. There's more. I said nothing. Someone emailed about a rent adjustment. The wording was strange, mentioned spousal consideration. My skin went cold under my collar. Whose spouse? Marin looked at me, and that was answer enough. She turned her monitor slightly. The email was from Beau, forwarding a note Kendra had written from her bridal styling account. I read the line 3 times. Owen knows. He said this can be handled quietly because the Juniper Room is important to our shared client pipeline. Our shared client pipeline. Like my marriage was a business tool. Like my name was a key she could slide into whatever lock she wanted. Marin clicked the attachment. It was a short proposal for temporary rent relief tied to venue partnership growth. At the bottom were my typed initials. OM. Not a signature, not even close, but enough to suggest I had seen it. Marin did not speak right away. I felt my pulse behind my eyes. She typed my initials. Yes, Marin said. I did not approve this. I know. She used my name. Yes. The room felt too bright. For months I had wondered if Kendra was bored, if she was restless, if she had met someone who made her feel young or seen or exciting. But this was different. She had not just stepped outside our marriage. She had dragged my work into it. Marin closed the document. Owen, I need you to hear me. Do not handle this as a husband. I looked at her. She continued. Handle it as documentation. Dates, screenshots, call logs, emails. Nothing emotional. Nothing public. Nothing that can be twisted. I gave a short laugh, but there was no humor in it. She already twisted it. Then stopped giving her loose rope. I went back to the hospital after that. Audra was waiting in the hall with her arms crossed. You found something, she said. I nodded. Is she in Raleigh? No. Audra closed her eyes for 1 second. Where is she? At the Juniper Room. Her face changed. She knew enough about my job to understand that was not as personal. Owen. I know. Please tell me you are not going to beg her. That hit harder than I expected. Because the answer, 1 year earlier, might have been different. I might have called, might have asked what I did wrong, might have let her cry first so I would become the one apologizing. But that hospital chair had changed something. The text had changed something. I looked at my sister and said, I'm not begging. When I got home later that evening, the house felt staged. Kendra's things were everywhere, but not in a lived-in way, more like props left behind after a show. Her vanity was covered in perfume bottles, makeup brushes, gold trays, and little jars that cost more than my work shoes. Her wedding ring sat in a ceramic dish beside a pair of pearl earrings. Her closet was full of cream blazers, silk dresses, winter coats, handbags in dust covers. But her overnight bag was gone. So were the dresses she wore when she wanted attention. On the vanity mirror, she had left a yellow sticky note. Back Monday. Don't start. I stood there in our bedroom, reading those 3 words. Don't start. Not, I'm sorry. Not, how is your mom? Not, can we talk? Just a warning. Like I was an employee she expected to manage. My phone buzzed. A selfie from Kendra. She was seated at a cafe table, sunglasses on, coffee in hand. The caption said, trying to breathe. Still in Raleigh. I looked at the photo. There was a reflection in the window behind her. Brick wall. Green trim. Same street as the Juniper Room. She was not even careful anymore. That was the moment I made the decision. I did not throw her clothes on the lawn. I did not cut anything up. I did not dump makeup in a trash bag or break framed pictures. I opened a note on my phone and started documenting. Master closet. Vanity. Jewelry drawer. Winter coats. Wedding albums. Handbags. Shoes. I took pictures of every room, every shelf, every drawer. I recorded a slow video showing the condition of her things. I called a professional packing service we used for commercial tenant relocations. I paid extra for Sunday pickup and itemized labels. The woman on the phone asked, Is this a household move? I looked around the bedroom. No, I said. It's a delivery. By Sunday morning, 3 workers were boxing my wife's life while I stood in the doorway with a clipboard. One of them lifted a framed wedding photo from the dresser. Sir, this too? I looked at the picture. Kendra in white, me in a navy suit, her hand on my chest, my smile wide and stupid with hope. Yes, I said, pack it. When they were done, the boxes filled half the entry hall. Kendra Mercer, master closet. Kendra Mercer, vanity. Kendra Mercer, winter coats. Kendra Mercer, wedding albums. I wrote the delivery address myself. The Juniper Room. Upstairs unit entrance. South End, Charlotte. The packing supervisor asked if I wanted to include paperwork. Yes. I took 1 blank card from Kendra's own stationery drawer. Thick cream paper. Gold edge, the kind she used for thank you notes to rich brides. I wrote 2 words. Keep her. I put it in an envelope and taped it to the first box. The delivery was scheduled for Monday at 10 a.m. At 10:19, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered from my parked car outside the hospital. A man's voice said, "Is this Owen Mercer?" Yes. There was breathing on the other end, fast, shaken. My name is Bo Harlan. Quote, I looked through the windshield at the hospital entrance. I know who you are. Sir, I need to explain something. Do you? I didn't know. I stayed silent. I swear to God, he said, I didn't know she was still your wife. In the background, I heard Kendra. Hang up, Bo. Do not talk to him. He's unstable. Something about hearing her voice in that room, with that man, wearing that panic-like perfume, almost made me laugh. Bo lowered his voice. There are boxes on my porch. They're hers. There are wedding albums. They're hers, too. She told me you were separated. We were married when she left Friday. I thought papers were already filed. There now. Kendra's voice got sharper. Bo, give me the phone. I heard movement, a scuffle, a door closing. Bo came back quieter. Mr. Mercer, I'm not trying to get in the middle of this. You already are. I didn't know she used your name in that email. That sentence opened a new door. I sat up straight. What else did she say? He hesitated. Bo, I said, you and I have 2 problems. One is personal. One is business. The personal one is ending. The business one is just starting. He was silent. I continued. You have been using a restricted upstairs unit as a residence. My firm already documented that before I knew where my wife was. So choose your next words carefully. He exhaled like the air had been knocked out of him. She said you signed off on everything. I didn't. She said you were embarrassed about the separation and wanted it quiet. I didn't. She said if I helped her with vendor contacts, she could help me with rent. I closed my eyes. There it was. Not passion, not love. Not some tragic romance. A transaction. Send me everything, I said. I don't want trouble. Then send the truth. Within 20 minutes, my phone started filling. Screenshots. Texts. Voice notes. Kendra telling Bo we were basically divorced. Kendra saying I was too image-conscious to fight her. Kendra promising she could handle Owen. One text made my hand tighten around the phone. Owen signs what I put in front of him. I forwarded everything to Marin. Her reply came back fast. Do not respond further. Send all material to me and Deacon. This is now formal. Deacon Pike was one of the founding partners. Mid-50s, gray hair, quiet voice, no patience for drama touching company property. When Deacon got involved, the room always got colder. 2 hours later, Bo sent one more file. A voice note. He wrote, She doesn't know I recorded this. She started screaming after the boxes came. I pressed play. Kendra's voice filled my car. You think I picked you because you're special? I picked you because your building was useful. Do you know how many bridal clients want a place like this? Do you know what Owen can open doors to if he stops acting wounded for 5 minutes? Bo said something too low to catch. Kendra snapped back, Please, Owen always folds. He just needs to feel noble first. I stopped the recording. For a few seconds, all I heard was my own breathing. Not because I still loved who she was in that recording. Because I could not believe how long I had loved someone who spoke about me like that when I was not in the room. That evening, Kendra made her next move. She posted online. Nothing direct, of course. Kendra was too careful for that. It was a soft focus picture of her hand around a coffee cup, no ring, with a caption. Some people punish you for choosing peace. Starting over is scary, but being thrown away during a family crisis shows you who someone really is. Within minutes, mutual friends started texting me. Are you okay? What happened? Did you kick Kendra out? I stared at the messages. The old Owen would have stayed quiet. He would have told himself that public mess was beneath him. He would have let people think whatever they wanted, because dignity meant silence. But Marin's voice was in my head. Stop giving her loose rope. So I did not post. I opened our shared family group chat. I sent 4 things. The hospital admission timestamp. My call log showing 17 unanswered calls. Audra's text to Kendra. Kendra's reply. I can't keep being your emotional emergency contact. Handle something without me for once. Then I wrote 1 sentence. Please do not contact me about Kendra's version of this. Any legal matters will go through counsel. Audra replied first. Kendra, you knew his mother was in the hospital. I texted you myself. No one else said anything for almost 10 minutes. Then Kendra left the group. That silence felt different. Not empty. Clean. By Tuesday, the Juniper Room had a bridal vendor mixer scheduled. I knew because I had approved the event access weeks earlier. Photographers, florists, planners, stylists, venue people. Kendra's world. Marin called me at 8 o'clock that morning. She may show up, she said. I know. Can you handle being there? I'm not going as her husband. Good, Marin said, because we are not confronting your wife. We are addressing a lease violation and improper attempted influence. Deacon joined the call and said, Owen, you will not raise your voice. I won't. You will not accuse anyone of anything we cannot document. I won't. You will let Marin speak first. I will. He paused. I'm sorry about your mother. That almost broke me more than anything else. Thank you, I said. That evening, I walked into the Juniper Room in a dark suit with a folder under my arm. The place looked beautiful. I hated that it did. Warm lights. Polished bar. Green tile wall glowing behind shelves of bottles. Tall windows, looking out over South End. White flowers on cocktail tables. Soft music. People laughing with champagne in hand. It was the kind of room Kendra loved because it made lies look expensive. Marin stood near the bar with Deacon beside her. Bo was already there, pale and stiff in a black button-down. He looked like he had not slept. At 6:27, Kendra walked in. Cream blazer, smooth hair, gold earrings, calm smile. She looked perfect. That was always her gift. She could walk into a burning room and make people question whether they smelled smoke. Her eyes found me across the room. For 1 second, she smiled. Not warmly. Confidently. Like she still thought I would protect the room from the truth just to protect myself from embarrassment. She crossed the floor with a glass of white wine in her hand. Owen, she said softly, this is not the place. I looked at her. You're right, I said. This is a workplace. Her smile tightened. Marin stepped forward. Ms. Mercer, this conversation is with Mr. Harlan regarding lease compliance. Kendra gave a light laugh. Marin, with respect, this is clearly personal. Deacon said, no personal would be louder. That shut her mouth for half a second. Marin opened her folder and turned to Bo. Mr. Harlan, we have documented unauthorized residential use of the upstairs restricted unit. improper after-hours access, and correspondence suggesting attempted influence through an employee's spouse. The nearby conversations faded. Not all at once, slowly. Like people could sense something sharp under the words. Beau's throat moved. I understand. Kendra stepped closer. Beau, you do not have to answer this here. Marin did not look at her. Can you confirm who has been living upstairs in the restricted unit? Beau looked at Kendra. She stared back at him with a warning in her eyes. For 1 second, I thought he might fold. Then he said, I stayed there sometimes, and Kendra stayed there this weekend. The room went still. Kendra's face changed, but only slightly. A blink, a hard swallow. This is personal, she said. He is doing this because I left him. That was when Audra walked in. She had my hospital bag over one shoulder. She was still in scrubs under her coat, like she had come straight from another shift. She had no makeup on, no polished armor, just tired eyes and the kind of calm that comes from seeing real emergencies, not invented ones. She heard Kendra's sentence. Audra stopped beside me and said, You didn't leave. You hid. There's a difference. Kendra's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Marin continued, voice even. Mr. Harlan, under the lease terms, the upstairs unit must be vacated within 24 hours. All personal items are to be removed. The business lease will be placed under formal review. Beau nodded. I understand. Kendra turned on him. You are seriously letting them do this? Beau looked at her like he was seeing her clearly for the first time. You told me you were separated, he said. Her eyes flashed. We were. No, I said quietly. We weren't. Beau pulled out his phone. His hand shook, but his voice held. She told me Owen knew. She told me he was fine with it. She told me she could help with the rent issue. Kendra whispered, Beau. He looked around the room, embarrassed but done. She said she could handle the lease conversation because Owen signs what she puts in front of him. A few people turned toward me. I did not move. I did not defend myself with a speech. I did not tell them I was a good husband. I did not tell them about the hospital chair, the cold coffee, the 17 calls. I just opened my folder. Inside were copies. The delivery receipt. The call logs. The hospital timestamp. The email chain. The document with my typed initials. The separation notice from my attorney. I placed the envelope on the bar in front of Kendra. Her eyes dropped to it. What is that? She asked. The rest of the conversation, I said. The part you don't get to perform. Her hand hovered over the envelope, but she did not touch it. I kept my voice low. Your things are already where you chose to be. The rest can go through counsel. For the first time since I had known her, Kendra had no room to turn the story. Not because I shouted louder. Because the proof was already standing there. Her lover knew. The firm knew. My sister knew. The people she wanted to impress knew enough. And every consequence in that room came from something she had chosen. She chose not to answer the hospital calls. She chose to lie about Raleigh. She chose Beau. She chose the upstairs unit. She chose to use my name. She chose to type my initials. She chose to post first. All I did was stop carrying the parts she dropped. Kendra picked up the envelope with stiff fingers. Her face had gone pale under the soft bar light. She looked smaller somehow, not because she had lost beauty, but because she had lost control of the frame. This is cruel, she whispered. I looked at her for a long second. No, I said. Cruel was making me feel needy for calling my wife from a hospital. Her eyes filled then, but I did not step closer. That was new for me. I did not rescue her from the silence. Kendra left through the side entrance with 2 of the boxes from the upstairs unit. She refused to look at anyone. Beau vacated the restricted unit the next day. His business stayed under review, and he cut ties with Kendra before the week was over. I did not make a public post. I sent documents where they needed to go, blocked Kendra outside legal channels, and drove back to the hospital. My mother was asleep when I arrived. Audra was in the chair beside her, half awake, holding a paper cup of tea. She looked up. You okay? I sat down beside her. For once, I did not lie. Not yet, I said. But I think I will be. I used to think silence meant I was losing. That weekend taught me silence can be the only clean place left when someone keeps handing you reasons to walk away. She ignored my calls because she thought I would still be waiting when she came back. I was not waiting. I was packing. If this story pulled you in, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which moment crossed the line. The hospital text, the fake Raleigh trip, or the typed initials.